What's up guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg with my annual look back at Apple throughout the year with my top 5 picks for that year. Now I've been doing this since 2010 and it's always kind of fun to look back to see how things have evolved since that time. Now relatively speaking, 2016 was a fairly quiet year for Apple after a very busy 2015. So in the spring we got a spec bump for the 12-inch MacBook along with a rose gold color option. Now this would be the only Mac update besides the all-new MacBook Pros that arrived later in the fall. So nothing else was touched, including the iMacs, the Mac Pro, and the long-suffering Mac Mini. The iPad also had a very quiet year, but we did get an all-new 9.7-inch iPad Pro in the spring. We also got no less than 3 new iPhones this year, with the iPhone SE coming in the spring, and the all-new iPhone 7 and 7 Plus arriving in the fall. The Apple Watch lineup was also overhauled as well and was divided into Series 1 and Series 2, both of them picking up faster CPUs, while the Series 2 picked up a larger battery, brighter displays, better waterproofing, and GPS antennas. The Apple Watch Edition Series 2 also dropped gold for ceramic and became a lot cheaper, and the Apple Watch Sport was effectively replaced by a Nike Edition. We also got a series of new nylon watch bands and a space black Milanese loop, all of which I reviewed. Now the real news, however, for the Apple Watch was a complete software overhaul with watchOS 3, which dramatically improved performance and usability for all Apple Watches. iOS 10 brought hundreds of new features, including an overhauled messaging app that allowed you to send animated wallpapers and message bubbles with a constantly expanding and evolving emoji library. iOS 10 also integrated HomeKit automation controls, eliminated swipe to unlock, expanded the usefulness of widgets, added more features to 3D Touch, introduced Raise to Wake, a very useful feature, and overhauled virtually every app with tons of new features, including collaboration in the Notes app, a much smarter Photos app with contextual awareness, and a vastly improved music app. Mac OS Sierra is mostly significant for its name change, which brings it in line with the other OS platforms. However, the changes themselves are actually very small, adding Siri and Apple Pay for the first time, and a bunch of revised apps that integrate many of the features that also came with iOS 10. tvOS was also updated with a revised music app, improved Siri features, and a dark mode. Later in the year, we saw the launch of single sign-on for cable subscribers and a new TV app, which is a one-stop location to aggregate and manage video content from all of your video apps. Apple's only major new accessories this year were the AirPods, which arrived far behind schedule, but I think were worth the wait. We also saw revised cases and new colors for several accessories to go along with the new iPhones and iPads. And perhaps the most unexpected Apple products of the year is Designed by Apple in California, a photographic history of Apple over the past 20 years. Although welcomed by many fans, and indeed it's a very nicely made book, it was widely ridiculed as uncharacteristically retrospective for the company. Now, beyond the natural succession of new iPhones, iPads, and Macs, Apple also discontinued several aging products, including the Thunderbolt display, 11-inch MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro with an optical drive, which was very old, and the 3rd generation Apple TV, in addition to the long-forgotten Apple battery charger. So getting into my list, for number 5, I'm going with the iPhone SE. This is Apple's surprise commitment to the small 4-inch screen form factor, which has proven to be very popular. But essentially, this is a spec upgrade of the iPhone 5S, which brought it up to speed with the iPhone 6S thanks to the A9 CPU. This is also the first time that the cheapest iPhone was just as powerful as the most expensive iPhone. This also makes it the most powerful phone of its size and very unique in the market. We also get a new 12-megapixel camera with 4K video recording, which brings it up to speed, again, with the most expensive iPhone 6S until the iPhone 7 Plus came out. Although the design is unchanged, we did get a rose gold color option, but we did lose the polished chamfers. The SE still remains one of my favorite phone designs, although it's far too small for me now that I'm used to larger phones. However, with most of the same capabilities as the larger and more expensive iPhones, this is a tiny powerhouse with excellent battery life that proves that not everybody wants a large phone when a small phone can be just as capable. Moving on to number 4, the only new iPad this year was the 9.7-inch iPad Pro, which is Apple's most powerful and feature-packed iPad yet. It really is more than just a shrunken down version of the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, picking up improved specs and features in virtually all areas. It was the first iOS device this year to get a P3 display and currently the only iPad to feature this brighter and more colorful panel. It also picked up the same 5-megapixel FaceTime HD camera and 12-megapixel 4K iSight camera from the iPhones, along with the first LED flash on an iPad. It's also the first iPad and currently the only iPad to get the rose gold color option with a revised antenna design that reduced the RF transparent plastic on the back to just a thin strip, similar to an iPhone. But just like the bigger iPad Pro, we have support for the Apple Pencil, along with those incredible quad stereo speakers, which automatically reorientate the sound depending on how you're holding the iPad. We also got a keyboard accessory to match the size of the smaller iPad Pro, which works surprisingly well for its small size, and once again it connects to the smart connector along the side of the iPad Pro. Although I seldom use an iPad, this is the one I always grab, and it remains the clear spec leader among all the iPads this year. For number 3, I've chosen Apple's AirPods, which solve a significant problem with wireless headphones by making them extremely simple to pair and to charge. Although if you're not a fan of wired earpods, you likely won't find the AirPods much better, although they do sound a bit better than the wired headphones. Now, the AirPods are essentially wireless earpods with built-in batteries and Bluetooth radios. There are infrared sensors on the earpieces which detect when the AirPods are in your ears and automatically pause or resume playback when you take them in or out. They also have built-in microphones and accelerometers, so you can tap them to invoke Siri, answer a phone call, or just pause and play media. The charging case provides 24 hours of charge, while the AirPods themselves max out at around 5 hours of listening between each charge, which is outstanding for any Bluetooth headphones, especially ones this small. Now, easily my favorite aspect of these headphones is that because they sync to your iCloud account, once paired to one device, they are paired to all of them, so you can easily jump between any iOS or Mac OS device without repeating the pairing or unpairing process, which is typical for most Bluetooth headphones. And ultimately, the AirPods finally make wireless headphones convenient to use and have become one of my most used Apple devices this year. For number 2, I've gone with the most anticipated new laptops in years, the all-new MacBook Pros, which are available in 3 distinct configurations, a 13-inch without a touch bar, and a 13 or 15-inch with a touch bar. Now, all of them are dramatically thinner, smaller, and lighter than their aging predecessors, and they achieve this by shrinking the batteries, keyboard, display, and overall footprint. The new keyboards are very shallow, but I actually really like them, thanks to a revised butterfly mechanism that feels more responsive and tactile while remaining light and very fast to type on. The new P3 displays are much brighter with a wider color gamut, and the differences are noticeable, thanks to sharper blacks and more vibrant colors. The Force Touch trackpads also doubled in size, but palm rejection has been excellent in my experience so far. The real marquee news for these laptops is Touch Bar and Touch ID, which I cover extensively in my review videos. The most welcome feature for me here is Touch ID, along with Apple Watch Auto Unlock, which arrived with Mac OS, but the Touch Bar is more complicated. The Touch Bar is one of those features that is nice to have, but it's not the reason to buy the MacBook Pro, unless you find an app that can take advantage of it. But to make effective use of it, you really have to routinely look down at the keyboard to see the tools that pop up. And that's a habit I just haven't developed yet. The new MacBook Pros also generated some controversy by replacing all ports with Thunderbolt 3, necessitating the need for adapters. This also meant the elimination of MagSafe and SD card slots, all popular features from the previous generation. But the great thing here is that you can use any port to recharge the MacBook. Thunderbolt 3 also makes up for this because of its high bandwidth, so it can support 5K displays and very fast SSD external drives, making them far more future-proof even if the future hasn't quite arrived yet. The new MacBook Pros did lose the lighted Apple logo, but I think the designs look fantastic, especially in space gray. But I have experienced some inconsistency in terms of battery life, especially on the Touch Bar models because of the higher end processors, while the baseline model seems to be pretty reliable. But I think the biggest issue is that the prices have increased significantly over the previous models, which makes them very complicated recommendations until they go through another revision and price cut. And lastly, my favorite new Apple product this year is the iPhone 7 Plus. Although disappointing to some because of its familiar design and the elimination of the headphone jack, the improvements are significant, and the iPhone remains the most important product I use on a daily basis. I think the design tweaks significantly improve the look of the phone, but it's the new jet black color that really makes the iPhone 7 one of the most stunning smartphone designs we've seen this year. I really like how the polished black aluminum finish seamlessly blends with the glass on the front and makes the antenna stripes virtually disappear. The new camera brings some welcome improvements with a wider aperture for better low light performance and a dual camera setup for optical zoom. We also get a brighter P3 display for the first time on an iPhone, which, although a little warmer than the previous iPhone, delivers brighter and more vibrant colors. My favorite improvements actually come down to 2 features, waterproofing and stereo speakers. The stereo speakers makes the iPhone one of the best sounding smartphones on the market, and waterproofing makes the phone that much more durable. And as always, the new A10 chip makes the iPhone the most powerful smartphone by miles while maintaining some of the best battery life. So once again, the iPhone tops my list because it remains Apple's most polished and important product. Alrighty guys, hope you enjoyed this recap of Apple in 2016. Of course, I have individual videos on all these products and all the accessories, so if you guys want to check those out, I'll leave them linked in the description below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know, and Happy New Year.